Then phase is going to be the cloud IR post incident activity, and this is the one of the most this is the phase which is neglected by the many organizations, right? And this statement, okay, this is not my statement, this is actually from the NIST. Okay, so this is the statement from the NIST that one of the most important part of incident response is also the most often omitted. Okay, learning and improving. Each incident response team should evolve to reflect new threats, improve technology, and what they have learned, lesson learned from the last attack. So this will be over here. So when we are talking about the lesson learned over here, so in the lesson learned, few things we will be starting with the your first thing, lesson learned. So as name is suggesting, what you have learned from that incident. So holding a lesson learned meeting with all involved party after a major incident and optionally periodically and after lesser incident as resource permit can be very helpful in improving security measures and incident handling process itself, right? So holding that meeting is always going to help us. We will be learning, we'll be discussing that, okay, what happened, how it happened, okay, is there anything that we can do to improve it? So those kind of things always help you over there. There could be the inclusion of multiple incident, not only a single incident. There should be this should not be the case that one small thing happened, like there was an incident of scanning and all of you are sitting together and for scanning you are discussing. No, after few incident that you have, that you can in that meeting you can discuss, let's say weekly you are putting them that, okay, what incident happened throughout this week, what we have learned from them. So that kind of thing would be much better rather than after each one you will be having. So yes, keep collecting them and just do discuss them as well. So you can include multiple incidents that are going to cover in a single lesson learned meeting, and the meeting it is going to provide a chance to achieve the closure with respect to the incident by reviewing what happened and what you were doing to what you have done to intervene in that particular process, and how well that intervention it worked. And this is a part of your RCA, what we call the RCA, root cause analysis, that why this thing actually happened. And then you need to consider some of the questions, right? The question will be like, at time what time right what time this happened, okay, how well your staff did, okay, so how well you were doing, your staff were doing at that time, how you have handled, okay, so those kind of things. So the steps that you have taken, how well your staff and management perform, not only staff but also the management should be held accountable over here, dealing with the incident, how well they did, right, how well they did deal with the incident. And where you will be having some documented procedures. So were those documented procedure was enough? Well, those procedures were enough, okay, or yes or no, right? So those kind of things are going to be in there. Or apart from that, like like they were working or not. So what information you are going to require sooner now? What information require sooner? Okay, so we'll be thinking about that as well. Or what else could be there? Okay, is there like something that was challenging, is any challenges in recovery, like what you were facing and what could be helping you in for a better recovery, because when we'll be talking about these things, right? So these things are going to be in there. So that would be a lesson learned. So this will be giving you a clear idea for the next time if such kind of thing happen. Maybe you are creating a new playbook, right? That if this kind of thing happen, that there should be this playbook which will be suggesting, that this you should be doing, this you should not be doing. These questions will be always helping over there. Now, what you will be doing after this meeting, you will be using all the collected incident data. Now, you could be, it's good to also focus on the data that is collected in the incident, right? So lesson learned activity should process with a set of objective and subjective data regarding each of the incident. So what I mean by this, when I'm talking about that, subjective and the objective data. So objective data is the data which is kind of irrefutable, it's empirical. And subjective data is the data where, is that what actually kind of interpretive and typically of the objective data. So you are getting some, there was some objective data, there was some subjective data, you are just, there was some of the your in what I would say evidence, right? That this thing happened, you have gathered the incidents and all the things. Now you will be coming to some conclusion that if this is here, then why it is there. Some subjective data also, is going to be your subjective data is going to be more of the interpretive kind of the thing, right? That hypothetical, or let's say that what conclusion we are coming over there. So we have to include both. We have to include the objective and the subjective over here. So obviously we want the foundation of the objective data, and then experience and capability and competency will lead to the good subjective data. So one of the good example is, okay, have you, okay, uh, after the incident, have you guys worked, on this lesson learned, where you are going with the MITRE framework or something else and try to get your head around on the whole incident, that what was happening? Right, so there will be the evidence which will be the objective data. Now I what happened is, when, because I work with the most of the security teams, so generally what is happening, we are sitting together and we are thinking about, okay, we have this evidence. Now come to the, let's just talk about each of the evidence. Now I find that this particular tactics or technique is being used at that particular time. So what we were talking about, that, this is going to be the objective, and we were sitting there that, okay, if they have used this technique, might be somewhere here this was the loophole. The next thing, they should be trying this and try to find our, you know adversaries as well, that what they can do next. And from here, if this kind of thing they will do in future, if they improve, where else they can go, or what other things they can compromise. So that kind of a thing. So first start with the some subject, objective things, right? Objective data, then with the experience of the different person and their, how much capable they are. Everyone has their own thought process, own way of interpreting things. So someone will be suggesting something new, good, and then you will be coming to a conclusion that what needs to be changed and what doesn't need to be changed. Now the data, particularly the total hour of involvement and the cost, may use to justify the additional funding for the incident response team, right? So how much time it went and what was required. So you sometime might be requiring additional funding. Maybe for the investigation part, you were requiring, or the capturing the, your forensic or the evidence, you were requiring some other tools. Let's say that, you said that, okay, we have to purchase either autopsy, or we have to purchase like in case or ftk imager. So you have to get the funding for those kind of a thing. So a study of incident characteristics may indicate systematic security, weakness and threat, as well as changes in the incident trends. So for this thing, this is very good that, you will be putting up that how much man hour was required, how much man hour you have put in. So this will be helping you to get the your additional funding over there. Now, it is also important that the data can be put back into the risk assessment process. which will be ultimately leading to the to the selection and implementation of additional controls, right? So this will be over there. So that thing, that what you have learned should be used in the risk portfolio. Then another good use of the data is measuring the success of the incident response team. So the measurement and the collection of information is something that will lead to the data driven decision making. That what is something, you need to have some parameter that how you are going to ensure that there is our, this is the success, or how much successful we are. So there is, the user data to prove the, how much successful you are, and that will be helping you to make the decision in future as well, that how quickly you were able to respond, our playbooks was working, so how quickly we were responding, how much money we have saved, and all that kind of a thing will be over there. Then, last time you asked something like, I think you were the one or someone else who asked me regarding the evidence retention time, right? That what is the kind of the ideal time for the retaining the different. So when that's why I included 3 points over here as well. First is the, there is the always another concern in the post incident phase, that is going to be the evidence retention, and this may have to do with the ability to prosecute against an attacker, and the evidence may be retained until any legal action has been completed. In some cases this may take several years, and evidence that seems insignificant now may become more important in future. As an example, if an attacker is able to use the information that it gathered in one attack and perform more severe attack later, so evidence from the very first attack may be the key of explaining how the second attack was accomplished, right? So that's why it is the, some factors that is playing here. That is first going to be the prosecution. Second, data retention is also responding to the data retention policies that state how long certain type of data may be kept under, may be kept or should be kept. Okay, for example, any organization, they may state in, they may be stating that the email message should be retained only for 180 days. Okay. Similarly, if a disk image containing the thousand of emails, the organization may not want the image to be kept for more than 180 days unless it is absolutely necessary. And whenever we will be going here, you will be seeing 180 days kind of the pinnacle of the, keeping the data retention, unless it is necessary. Like, you are running some, again, prosecution will be placing the, going ahead and playing an important role over here, that because if you are going to require it on the, court of law or not. So that is something that will be over there, because keeping that much of a data will be costing a good amount of money to the organization as well. So we try to keep it, minimum as, as minimum as possible over there, right? Then there will be the your, then there is the cost, right? And I think this thing also I discussed last week as well, that the cost, original hardware, hard drive, compromised system that is stored as an evidence, as well as hard drive and removable media that are used to hold the disk image, are generally individually inexpensive. However, if organization they store much more such component over the year, the cost is going to be substantial. Obviously, in the cloud, we will normally not have to access physical hardware, and the cost associated with the storage will have to do with the cost of storage in the cloud itself. So even cloud, if I will be talking about the cloud is also not going to be that cheap. If you keep having the data for a very long period of time, you have to actually pay them a good amount of, good sum of money over there as well. So I will try to show you something like the Sentinel today. Okay, and let's see that, that there will be also, you'll be seeing it is also talking about the 180 days. That, I think, yeah, okay, no, by default I think it is having 90 days of the data it will be keeping. Okay, so you can change that, although the retention policy up to the 730 days at, I think around, yeah, something around that.